past weekend, I've been feeling a little poetic. Do y'all mind if I try some poetry on y'all? Roses are red, violets are blue. Firing Joe Biden is just a thing to do. Now, you may be asking the question, why? Under Joe Biden, law and order is out the window. They have defunded the police. It is time to put Donald Trump back in the White House and refund the police. We must respect every single man and woman in blue. Our streets depend on it. As a kid who grew up in poverty and in some poor neighborhoods, we wanted more police, not less police. But Joe Biden and those DAs that believe in no cash bail, they're destroying inner cities. They're destroying our nation. It is time to put Donald Trump back in the White House. Under Joe Biden, inflation has been as high as 9% in a single month. Young people today can't even afford to buy a home. But when we had President Donald J. Trump in the White House, inflation was only 2%. We had the greatest economy in my lifetime. Not only did we have 2% inflation, we had the lowest unemployment in 70 years for women. An all-time low for black folks and Hispanics and Asians. The majority of y'all, 50-year low. Donald Trump delivers, not for black people, not for white people, not for Hispanics, but for Americans. He loves Americans. Red, white, and blue. I heard every beauty pageant, someone says, what do they want? They want world peace. I'm not saying Donald J. Trump is a good-looking dude, don't get me wrong. But what I am saying is if you want world peace, you want Donald Trump. Think about it, though. Think about it. Today, we have China coming into Cuba. The Iranians near Brazil. Ukraine, you remember the days before Donald Trump when there was an Obama and a Biden in the White House and there was an incursion? I can't hear y'all. Did y'all say yay? Boo is right. An invasion and an incursion before Donald Trump, an incursion after Donald Trump. How about in the Middle East? Israel, our strongest ally in the Middle East. Babies burned, beheaded, women raped. And what does Joe Biden do? He sat on his hands. We need Donald Trump for world peace. We had a better economy. We had world peace. Trump, 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 Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Donald Trump Jr.
What's going on, New Hampshire? Are you ready to send a message tomorrow? We have to, guys. And I see this enthusiasm. I've seen it all day. I've seen it across the country. Americans understand what is going on right now. They've seen it. We actually needed Joe Biden. We needed Joe Biden to show us just how bad the Washington, D.C. establishment has failed us. The only people that need the Washington, D.C. establishment are people like Nikki Haley, big war, the military-industrial complex, the consultant class who have failed us time and time again, shipping your American dream to countries that hate our guts so they can make a couple bucks as, consulting on something they know nothing about. But we can send a message tomorrow and we can end this primary rapidly so that we have the money, the time, the energy, the reserves to take on that machine who have exposed themselves over the last few years. I've been watching for 3.5 years since the adults got back in charge. Yeah. I'm with you. We all have to be involved, but it takes all of you, guys. It takes all of you. That's the reality. When it was Donald Trump out there by himself, taking all the slings, taking all the arrows, and we sat back behind afraid, it doesn't work. He's still taking them. I mean, he's a young and vibrant man, but they're trying to put him in jail for 1,000 years. I say that's rather a long time. And yet, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, the brothers, the sisters, the grandchildren, the mistresses, the girlfriends are all on the Chinese payroll and no one cares. It shows you what it's all about. The people. We can start to lock them up, Chet. I mean, it feels a little dated, but it should apply, right? Lock him up! 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 But I only, listen. If you apply the Don Jr. standard, where I had to testify for 50 hours for treason, a crime punishable by death, you'd say, you know what? Hunter should probably do a lot more. If it was Don Jr. in the Hunter Biden laptop, which magically now, after 4 years, this week, the DOJ said, well, I guess it's real. Oh, really? Shocking. I'm shocked to find out that the most obvious thing in the world is real. But they'll lie to us about all the obvious things, right? We're supposed to trust the science, but if you were a scientist that said, like, hey, do you think maybe the Wuhan lab leak theory is real? Like, do you think maybe the virus that originated in the town could have come from the lab in that same town that studies that exact virus? No, obviously not. Trust the science. It came from like 8 inches outside of that lab. We're to believe that. But these are the lies. This is how far they're willing to go. The people who scream about fascism and protecting democracy all day long seem awfully quick to want to throw their political opposition in prison, seem totally willing to censor your opinion if it's anything other than 100% aligned with theirs, willing to punish those people accordingly, and willing to give a total free pass to anyone on their side. You can burn down the city of Portland. You can burn down Seattle. You can literally murder police officers, loot stores, riot, arson. And the vice president will come and help bail you out. That's what happens at, yeah. Cocaine in the White House. As a guy that's had a Secret Service detail, I'll be like, hey guys, I wonder whose it is. And you can hear the eye roll over the phone, okay? Like, I have a feeling I wouldn't get the benefit of the doubt. Leftist Twitter was trying to blame that one on me at the time. I was like, I haven't been there in 3.5 years, but the biggest crackhead in the world is in residence, and we're not sure where it comes from. I'm shocked. Just like, no, Hunter was a great businessman. The Chinese gave him $1 billion to invest. I go, the Chinese, they're many things. I'm not pretending they're good or what, but they're not morons. They don't have like a diversity, equity, and inclusion program for crackheads. We are underrepresented in wealth managers who are crack addicts, so we're going to give $1 billion to Hunter Biden, right? They don't do that. Only we're dumb enough to do that, right? We will have pilots that, have severe mental issues because we're checking some boxes off for the woke crowd. Common sense has totally left the equation in our government in Washington, D.C. Putting the people of our country first is also not an option, apparently, unless we put Donald Trump back in office. But we see it every day, right? Your neighbor to the northeast up in Maine, they're putting illegals in multi-million-dollar housing for free. Across the country, they're doing that. They're throwing veterans out of places that are paid for with taxpayer money that they have paid into with blood, sweat, and tears. And money from taxes for years with those who will likely never contribute to a system. But those people, the illegals, are welcomed because the Democrats understand their policies have failed all of you. But if they can create a class of dependents, they'll be in office for life. That doesn't work, guys. Americans can't be second-class citizens in their own country, and yet each and every day you read about yet another terrible story. That is exactly that. When does it stop? What civilization puts their people last and actually survives? And it seems like they don't care. The globalists this week at Davos are meeting about taking all of your rights. They're going to lecture you about your car while flying over there in a G5 where they'll burn more fuel in 20 minutes than you will in your lifetime. They're not going to hold themselves to the same rules. That won't apply to them. They're going to eat filet mignon while you eat bugs. They're going to own everything. They'll charge you rent. Once they have control, they'll jack up those rents and they'll own you for life. And that seems to be the plan. And like all the other conspiracy theories that magically come true 6 months later, it's pretty clear that's the plan. They don't even hide from it anymore. What was it? Some of these morons watching this thing. It's truly amazing. Like, I'm sitting there. I'm waiting for Ashton Kutcher to, jump out of a cake or, the cameras to fall out of the ceiling like I'm in the Truman Show. It's like, you see that woman talking about ecocide? We want to ban all farming and fishing. I'm like, well, how are you going to feed? There's 6 billion something people on the earth. They want to ban all farming and fishing, and anyone who breaks the law and farms and fishes should be criminally charged. They want the world to starve to death, and they're just fine with that, I guess. But it never ends. So tomorrow we have a chance to send a message. We have a chance to end this primary, to stop draining the resources that we need to go after the true scourge of this country, which is failed Democrat, insane, woke policy. We see it every day, folks. I get it. I'm the son of a billionaire from Manhattan. Okay? If I'm upset when I take my kids out to go do basic things, if I have sticker shock, I get it. I'm totally self-aware. I shouldn't. And it's probably not going to change my habits. But if what's it doing to the average family who's working their ass off, making $50,000, $60,000, $75,000 a year? It's killing you. So we need everyone to stop listening to the very, very honest media who's clearly not lied to you and has been totally above board for the last few decades. Totally unbiased, folks. Totally unbiased. And start using what you see. They can't lie to you anymore because it's gotten so ridiculous. It's gotten so insane. It's gotten so extreme that even those who are sitting on the sidelines, even those who are politically agnostic, even those who are just busy trying to salvage what's left of their American dream that hasn't been exported, those people, even though they were indifferent to politics for a long time, they are wide awake right now, folks, because you can't hide from the insanity anymore. So what we need to do is we need to end this tomorrow, okay? Nikki Haley, Joe Biden, at this point, it's the same thing. There's a reason billionaire Democrat donors are supporting her, because they're fine with either one of her or Joe. They got a puppet, dancing monkey. Dance, monkey, dance. Here's the dollars. You do what we want. You should export our jobs. You export our manufacturing. I'm going to save half a cent on my widget, and everyone is happy. There's a reason they're going after Donald Trump the way they are. And you see the nonsense. You see the nonsense also unraveling, right? It's almost good. I will say, bring on more of the nonsense, because it's so ridiculous. The narrative is so obvious that, again, those same people who are sitting on the sideline, I wonder if there's something there like, this is ridiculous. I can't even believe it. They get it. So we have a rare chance to take our country back. But now we can do it with the knowledge of having actually done it before. We have a track record of success. Right? My father built a robust economy. We had low interest rates. We had low inflation. We had job growth for the lowest income earners. Okay? We had no wars. Nikki Haley would send us into every war on every front imaginable because she's owned by Boeing and the other big war companies who she sits on the board of. You know, she's going to send your kids to go off and die in there. She couldn't care less, along with the rest of that class. I have 5 young kids. Guess what? I don't want them going off to a far-off land to die for Vladimir Zelensky so that he can buy another yacht or another home. In the money that we've sent there, that is 100x what we'll spend to protect our own border so that we can end up in a conflict with the world's largest nuclear superpower by volume of missiles, Russia. Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. But they're pushing for it. The Republicans, rhinos, are pushing for it too. You know what? I'll do the survey here because we have a little time. I've done this all over the country, and I hear people like Mitch McConnell out there talking, the Ukraine war is the #1 priority for Republicans across the country. And I say, you know what? This crowd by itself is more real Americans than Mitch McConnell has probably spoken to in his career. How many here? Glitch. Reboot. It's ridiculous, right? I mean, you know, and then you got Joe Biden, the Roomba. He can't find his way out. This stage is about 10 by 12, and he could not find his way off the stage. He'd be walking into the wall and back. It doesn't end. But wait, we got to get to the survey, because we still have to continue to send a message to Washington, D.C., because they want to send another $60 billion to Ukraine. Raise your hand if Ukraine is a top 3 issue for you in this room. Are you from Ukraine? Oh, no, so don't raise your hand. So that was a false positive. She's saying the opposite. Is it a top 10 issue for you? Would you love to continue to mortgage your children's, your family's well-being and future to protect and or give more stuff to the upcoming oligarch class in Ukraine, since we don't have any accounting on it? Top 10 issue for anyone? All right. The reason I asked, ma'am, if you were from Ukraine is I've done this in front of about 35,000 people now. And one person raised their hand. It was not a top 3 issue, but it was top 10. The guy happened to be from Ukraine, so I gave him a pass. So that's 1 in about 35,000 people. And yet, even the rhino Republicans in D.C., it's the top issue. The media can report this. Not one hand went up. And yet, they're telling us that is. We need people in Washington, D.C., representatives who actually represent the will of the people, not the will of the swamp, not the will of the billionaire donor class, not the will of those who failed us time and time again. We can't do it without you guys. So you guys are the front line of that. Tomorrow, we can end this, and we can get back to fixing our country. We can get back to bringing prosperity. We can get back to ending the wars rather than perpetuating them forever. My father can fix this. You know how I know? Because he's done these things, right? The peace deals in the Middle East, that was the holy grail of geopolitical issues, right? Everyone in history said they're going to do it. How many did? No one, until Trump. Because you can't have someone negotiating something whose prior largest accomplishment was signing a car lease. That doesn't work. You need someone who's actually done that. You need someone who's been on the other side of the table. It doesn't matter if it's business or politics. You have to understand. My father got that. So within months, you have the failed Afghan withdrawal. You have the adults back in charge telling us that they are shocked and dismayed that the Taliban did not install a more diverse and inclusive government in Afghanistan. I was like, remember that one? Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, the adults. before Congress told us he's shocked and dismayed. You know, if you're dismayed, maybe I understand, like, but did you really think there was going to be like a trans coalition in the Taliban government? Like, I mean, I get it's all the rage right now. It's the most protected class in America and probably Europe. You know, if you're trans, you can do anything you want. You know, if you shoot up schools, they will protect you. They'll make sure your manifestos never get out to protect the agenda and the narrative. But, like, did you really think after 20 years of war that they were just going to adapt? The same people that were throwing homosexuals off buildings, like, you know, last week are now going to be very inclusive? These are not serious people, but they're the ones who've been making decisions. They're the ones mortgaging our futures to the hilt. They're the ones whose only position is there because of tenure, not because of knowledge, experience, wisdom. They've just been there longer, so they get a more powerful position to make bad decisions with your money. And that's the problem. They don't even think of it as your money anymore. So, guys, I ask you, call your friends, call your loved ones, call anyone, and let them know. Like I said, you can see it based on the funding alone. You know, the Koch network, they love Hillary, because it's the same. It's literally, Nikki Haley is Hillary dressed as a conservative for Halloween. She was created in a lab by the neocon warmongers who would love, like, she's the perfect person for that. So if you want to be in endless wars, if you want someone who can't get a single person that I'm aware of from her own delegation in South Carolina, where she's from, they were all here tonight or over the last couple of days. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? And yet, Democrat mega donors, the Koch network, rhinos in D.C., that's her base. The Democrats are voting for her tomorrow because Joe Biden's not really on the ballot. So they're trying to give her a win to drag it out, to make sure the primary lasts longer. Guys, enough is enough. Let's end this thing now. It starts with you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, honestly. Thank you for all of your efforts. Thank you, honestly, to all of those who were in the race, who stepped aside when it was appropriate, who endorsed, who understand that we are all on one mission to save this country, to put you and the American people, our Constitution, first. Now is the time to do all of that, and I'm just honored to be in the fight with you guys. So thank you so much. Great to be here in New Hampshire. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, guys.